little boy was selling newspapers on the corner. The people were in and out of the cold. The little boy was so cold, he walked up to a policeman and said, "Mister, you wouldn't happen to know where a poor boy could find a warm place to sleep tonight?" The policeman looked down at the little boy and said, "You go down the street to that big white house and you knock on the door. When they come out the door, you just say John 3:16 and they will let you in." So he did. He walked up the steps and knocked on the door, and a lady answered. He looked up and said, "John 3:16. The lady said, "Come on in, son." She took him in, and she sat him down in a split-bottom rocker in front of a great big old fireplace, and she went off. The boy sat there for a while and thought to himself, "John 3:16, I don't understand it, but it sure makes a cold boy warm." Later she came back and asked him, "Are you hungry?" He said, "Well, just a little. I haven't eaten in a couple of days, and I guess I could stand a little bit of food." The lady took him in the kitchen and sat him down to a table full of wonderful food. He ate and ate until he couldn't eat anymore. Then he thought to himself, "John 3:16, I sure don't understand it, but it sure makes a hungry boy full." She took him upstairs to a bathroom, to a huge bathtub filled with warm water, and he sat there and soaked for a while. As he soaked, he thought to himself, "John 3:16, I sure don't understand it, but it sure makes a dirty boy clean. You know, I've not had a bath, a real bath, in my whole life. The only bath I ever had was when I stood in front of that big old fire hydrant as they flushed it out." The lady came in and got him. She took him to a room, tucked him into a big old feather bed, pulled the covers up around his neck, kissed him goodnight, and turned out the lights. As he lay in the darkness and looked out the window, the snow coming down on that cold night, he thought to himself, "John 3:16, I don't understand it, but it sure makes a tired boy rested." The next morning, the lady came back and took him down again to that same big table full of food. After he ate, she took him back to that same big old split-bottom rocker in front of the fireplace and picked up a big old Bible. She sat down in front of him and looked into his young face. "Do you understand John 3:16? She asked gently. He replied, "No, ma'am, I don't. The first time I ever heard it was last night when the policeman told me to use it." She opened the Bible to John 3:16 and began to explain to him about Jesus. Right there, in front of that big old fireplace, he gave his heart and life to Jesus. Moral of the story, John chapter 3 verse 16, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life." God, our Father in heaven, loves us immensely. His greatest gift to humankind, his Son, Jesus Christ, reflects that love. God loves everyone with an everlasting love. He is the Father of our spirits. We are his children. He loves each one of us individually and wants us to come to know and love him. God knew that this life would be full of challenges and uncertainty. He knew that we would fall short and make mistakes. So he sent his Son, Jesus Christ, to earth. Jesus lived a perfect, sinless life.